You're watching the American Conference on ESPN. The city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, known for its underdogs, as the Temple Owls look to add to that narrative, facing the undefeated 17th-ranked Houston Cougars. John Brickley alongside with Mark Adams. Temple coming off an impressive road victory Sunday in overtime against Wichita State. The hometown kid, Shiz Alston Jr., dropping down 22 points, including the last 7 in overtime, playing a total of 42 minutes as the Owls off to their best start since 2010. Meanwhile, Houston 15-0, off to their best start in over 50 years. One of 3 undefeateds remaining in college basketball. The Cougars coming in at 15-0. Along with them, number 2 Michigan, led by a duo of senior Charles Matthews, along with the freshman sensation in Iggy Brazdeikis, and Virginia ranked number 4 in the country behind Kyle Guy off their win over Florida State. As for the architect of Houston's success, head coach Kelvin Sampson, standing by with our Mark Adams.
Kelvin, you've built Houston as an underdog type of culture. Now you're 15-0 undefeated. How do you honor that undefeated season so far, along with your culture of being an underdog?
I think by focusing on getting better. We've got so many young kids in our program, Mark, that we've just given them 1 or 2 things every day to go to practice with. The focus on just getting better and understanding how to do that. And then we have great senior leadership that's been able to help us with that.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thanks, Mark.
It's been a remarkable run for Kelvin Sampson and this Houston program in his 5 years, coming off a 27 win a year ago. Our officials, Anthony Jordan, John Gaffney, and Byron Jarrett. For Houston, just their 3rd road game of the season, the first since December 8th. Temple, on the other hand, a perfect 5-0 at home this season. Breon Brady gets the first look on the offensive possession as Temple comes down with the rebound. 11-3 on the season are the Owls. Quentin Rose, along with Alston Jr. and Nate Pierre-Louis, rounding out 66% of the scoring output this season, as Perry, along with Aflakby, rounding out the starting 5. As for Houston, wins over Memphis, 2-0 on the season in conference play, including a win against Tulsa. A look at their starting lineup, led by that senior backcourt of Galen Robinson, along with Corey Davis, and a turnover forced by the Temple D.
So far we've seen Temple go inside for Fran Dunphy, for Ernest Aflakby, and then Houston go inside to Breon Brady, who went for 22 last year in Houston's win against Temple.
Fran Dunphy in his 13th and final season for the Temple Owls, said in April that this will be it, his final year, will retire at the end of the year, as Temple trying to get back to the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2016. Here's Alston Jr. Off the mark, great rebound in the second chance put down by Pierre-Louis.
Yeah, Nate Pierre-Louis is like a Houston guard in that he rebounds the ball extremely well, while Houston undersized, especially with Corey Davis Jr. and also Galen Robinson. Those guys go to the boards.
Cedric Alley from the corner, and loose ball picked up here by Robinson, off to Davis for 3, and the rebound collected by Aflakby, the top rebounder on this Temple team, averaging over 7 a game. Quentin Rose, the junior out of Rochester, New York, the nice floater, as Perry muscles his way in. Both teams early on struggling, Mark.
Yeah, Breon Brady was just so good inside, built the fence around the basket, challenges the shot. Houston just so stingy, one of the great defensive teams in the country. There's Brady inside. Keep an eye on him. He's a key. We talk a lot about the guards. The 3-guard lineup at Houston. Keep an eye on number 24 in red, Breon Brady.
Brady known by Coach Sampson as an old school brawler. They'll need that in the front court tonight against the Owls. Alston, good vision into the corner to Rose, and Robinson comes down with it.
That's the shot Houston wants to force. Quentin Rose from 3-point land with a hand in his face.
Alley left open in the corner. Robinson knocks down the 3, and that's been an improvement in his game coming into his senior year.
Yeah, Jalen Robinson was not known as a 3-point shooter 1 year ago. This year, 40% from behind the arc.
Only had 4 made threes last year. That was a part of the game that Kelvin Sampson had said needs to improve for Galen Robinson to have success. Alston with a defender in his face. Alley comes down with the weak side rebound. They look inside to Brady, who draws the double team.
Well, Cedric Alley was wide open on the cut. Brady didn't recognize him.
Robinson short on the three. And quickly ahead, Rose gonna take it himself.
Quentin Rose, one of those guys, if he can get going early, get an easy look early, that's good news offensively for Temple.
Temple began this game 1 of 7 from the floor. Good trap defense orchestrated by Temple. Armani Brooks, the junior in the corner, coming off a 22-point performance against Memphis.
Oh, this is one of the great steal teams in the country, and they do it live ball steals. Rarely does the ball go out of bounds, which leads to easy baskets on the opposite end. And Quentin Rose has an elite first step to the basket, but the question mark is, can he make a perimeter shot? So far this season, the answer would be no. But when you start getting a good athlete like that gets a good look early, like a dunk, you never know what's going to happen next with a Quentin Rose with that talent.
And he's a guy that can turn defense into offense very quickly. Brooks off the screen. And the struggles continue from beyond the arc. Meanwhile, for Temple, going up against this daunted Houston defense, limiting opponents to under 60 points per game, top 10 in the country. And that gets us to our first timeout. Houston and Temple battling in the city of brotherly love. We'll step aside, be back with more action on the other side. You're watching the American Conference on ESPN. Downtown Philadelphia setting the stage for this great matchup between number 17 Houston and Temple. Hi everyone, welcome to Courtside alongside Mark Adams. I'm John Brickley. Houston, 17th in the country, 15-0, best start in over 50 years. But tonight, this is a true litmus test against a very talented Temple team.
It's only Houston's third road game. Remember, they won at BYU, a nice road win, and at Oklahoma State. Now at Temple. Temple is 3-3 versus Quadrant 1 and Quadrant 2 opponents. And Kelvin Sampson knows they've got a go-to guy in Shiz Alston Jr. who can light up this defense for 20 every single night. And so now Houston, with that vaunted nationally ranked defense, them and Virginia, the two best defensive teams in the country, that's what we're looking at tonight.
How high do you think that ceiling is for Houston? Just one of 3 undefeateds left in the country with Michigan and Virginia.
I think it's really high, John, because of what you haven't seen. Nate Hinton, the freshman, is starting to find his stride. And DeJon Jarreau, also the transfer from UMass, is just now getting healthy. He adds maybe their best and most talented guard to this lineup, number 13 in red, guarding on the ball right now is Shiz Alston.
Alston out of the timeout, the long-range three-point shot. The number 1 scorer in the American, over 19 a game, puts Temple up by 2. Jarreau, the UMass transfer, the talent undeniable according to his coach, and we just saw it there.
Yeah, he can stretch you. He's 6'5". He's got some Spider-Man defense in his game. He really spreads out. He gets those tentacles out and gets deflections. I love this kid's upside.
Pierre-Louis working it inside. Alston, he can shoot the 3 from anywhere on the court, and he draws contact.
Shiz Alston proved late game at Wichita State that he can manufacture his own offense. Going back and forth off the ball screen, he's a kid that's tough to figure out defensively. And then DeJon Jarreau, we just talked about the ceiling. Shiz Alston makes his team better as a senior. DeJon Jarreau can deliver Houston to the greatest heights of college basketball.
Alston Jr., meanwhile, almost automatic from the free throw line this year, 92%. In fact, he has made 14 straight foul shots over his last 3 games. And Fran Dunphy told us in shoot-around today, Shiz Alston, this is his team. As far as they go is how far he wants to go.
Here's what I love about Shiz Alston, Rick. He not only wants to take big shots, but he and his teammates believe he's going to make big shots. There's a big difference between a guy that wants to take it and a guy you know is going to make it.
And how key was he in that Wichita State game that you called in regulation to force overtime and then in OT? Probably one of the best shots we've seen all year.
Well, not only the three-point shot that he made with no time on the shot clock, but also he waved Ernest Aflakpee out of the way late in the game and said, I'm running the give and go. Give it to me and go away because I'm going to make a play. He is a special talent for Fran Dunphy.
Giroux on the other end drawing contact. He will go to the free throw line. Foul goes against Dre Perry for Temple. Giroux out of New Orleans, Louisiana. Mentioned the UMass transfer. Temple fans remember him well, Mark, when he played with UMass, just his fourth game in, the game winner he had against the Owls.
I actually called that game, and there you see the writing on the bottom of DeJon Giroux's shoes as he's honoring his grandmother, Erlene Nelson, who died at 81, and his cousin, Theodore Jones, who's known as a rapper, young greatness, who also was shot to death in New Orleans. That's just over the last several months. He's played with a heavy heart.
Pierre-Louis, strong baseline, unable to convert. And the rebound by Grisham and a turnover. Rose strong to the basket. That one blocked away by Giroux.
Well, it's such a luxury when you've got rangy guys that can erase mistakes. There's the turnover by Houston, and DeJon Giroux comes from the backside and erases the mistake. And now Quentin Rose will go to the line as there was some contact.
Rose, just a 58% free throw shooter. Was honored before the game, reaching over 1,000 points. He got that win over Drexel. Part of the trio for Temple's starting lineup that generates most of the offense.
9 straight games. He's had 13 or more points. He had 17 in that win in the Roundhouse at Wichita State.
A 12-8 lead, Temple on Houston. Cougars 15-0 on the season. Giroux gives it off to Corey Davis.
Well, Quentin Rose is taking away any pass to Armani Brooks.
Grisham partially blocked by Damian Moore. 6'11" junior the other way. Alston loses control of it in a turnover. Numbers for Houston. Giroux with the left hand.
And just completely unacceptable transition defense by Temple. That is way too easy, especially for the athletic presence of DeJon Giroux.
Pierre-Louis unable to answer with the right hand. Moore tracks down the loose rebounds. And now a tie-up, and possession will stay with the Owls.
Watch Temple's transition defense as they get back. See who talks, see who points, see who reacts. Everybody's just running back. Nobody's talking. Nobody's picking up the ball. Nobody's stopping the ball. That is just very poor transition defense.
Rose off the inbound, off the mark. Temple struggling to begin this game, 4 of 12. Fabian White, the junior, off the bench for Houston. Great spin move. Offensive rebound, and draws a foul. And that's going to go against Pierre-Louis, the third team foul early here for Temple.
Fabian White asking to come out. Now, a lot of Houston fans have asked why. Well, he's just not in shape. He didn't get back until November 30th, basically. And now he's back playing again. He can only go a 2 or 3 minute run. He's like a hockey player. He can play a short line, and then you got to get him out. But as he gets physically more healthy and in shape, watch out.
And it speaks to the depth that we have seen from Houston. Second to none in this American Conference when it comes to depth, as Brady comes up with the bucket and ties it up at 12.
Yeah, Houston can burn 15, 20 fouls inside with their big guys. They can rotate them.
A Houston defense holding opponents to just 59 points per game. A steal leads to transition. Davis for 3. A 7-0 run for Houston has them in the lead.
And 5 of those points have been in transition.
What makes this Houston defense so tough to contend with?
Watch the red jerseys together. They move in tandem. See how Brady comes across and helps out right there? Now, there was some bodily contact as he didn't go up straight to build defense, but they work so well together defensively. And they get steals like this, Brick, because they can get in the open court. You got a Corey Davis Jr. that's a good target that can bang the 3-ball. They turn defense into offense so quickly under Kelvin Sampson's leadership.
Kelvin Sampson, who has revitalized this Houston program, closing in on 100 wins with the Cougars, 600 in his career. And I thought the most interesting stat, and Coach brought it up to us in shoot-around last night, was the idea of causing 28 points off turnovers against Memphis back on Sunday.
You know, it's not only the points off turnovers, but it's the extra tips as well. You don't go to Final Fours. You don't go to the NCAA tournaments like Kelvin Sampson does unless you can differentiate yourself in the marketplace. What he's done is he's recruited guards that are willing to go rebound and be tough defenders. And oh, by the way, they shoot the 3-ball pretty well as well.
Houston, who started off the game 3 of 9, has knocked down their last 3 shots. A 1-point lead. Coming off an NCAA tournament run into the second round last year, taken away by Alani Moore, the junior, a spark plug off the bench for Temple. Rose, step back jumper. And possession to Houston. Timeout on the floor. Good shootout between number 17 Houston and Temple. Cougars with a 1-point lead. John Brickley, Mark Adams back with you. Number 17 Houston battle-tested with a 1-point lead against the Temple Owls. And one thing we talked about, Mark, with the American Conference is the depth. Houston might be the storyline, but there's a lot of other teams emerging in this conference.
Well, if Houston, can they learn the favorite role? Kelvin Sampson has been brought up as an underdog, and I've watched it firsthand as an assistant and coaching against him. Can SMU stay healthy? Tim Jankovic had the team ready for the NCAA tournament a year ago, and then the injury bucket. Can they stay healthy? And I believe they will.
Let's not forget UCF, 6 straight wins off that loss to Missouri. Aubrey Dawkins, Taco Fall,
Yep.
BJ Taylor. UCF, the preseason favorite in this conference, certainly has lived up to the billing.
And there's a big difference between being picked 3rd and being picked 1st in the preseason. But that is a veteran lineup for Johnny Dawkins. And Johnny Dawkins is so even-keeled, it won't affect the Knights of UCF. They look really good to me.
Nate Hinton off the bench, the preseason freshman of the year in the American, 11 in red for Houston. Shot clock down to 5. Cedric Alley from the corner. And Temple will regain possession down by 1. Kelvin Sampson, who a year ago took this program to the conference championship game, losing by 1 to Cincinnati. Then that last second shot by Jordan Poole from Michigan in the second round of the NCAA tournament, said the best is still to come with this Houston program.
You know, they didn't dwell on that either. They really never talked about what happened in the Michigan game, but it certainly has been a motivator for them.
J.P. Mormon off the bench, knocks down the 3, and that has been key for Temple's success. Coming in, making 38 threes over their last 4 games.
I like the way J.P. Mormon is playing right now, playing with a lot of confidence, knocking down the 3-ball, and a physical presence as well for Temple.
You'll notice for Temple, 31, that's Nate Pierre-Louis, normally 15, had to have his jersey changed, forces the turnover. In transition, Alston for 3. And a reminder as well, coming up, our Women's Hoop Thursday Night Showcase. Number 1 Notre Dame taking on number 2 Louisville in South Bend. Last year the Cardinals blew out the Irish 100-67. So obviously payback on the minds of the Irish, 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN and on the ESPN app. Maybe the number of the night, 2,600 days since the last time 1 versus 2 involved someone other than UConn.
You are such a play-by-play stud.
I'm also good at reading stats.
You brought it.
As we approach the midway point, Robinson with 6 on the shot clock. Gresham has to give it up. Robinson, long range. And Mark, what do you make of the defensive effort? We came in spotlighting Houston, but what Temple has done against the guard play, especially of Robinson and Davis?
Yeah, Temple is really well prepared, and they match up well with Houston as well. Fran Dunphy, the consummate educator. He teaches a class on campus for the Fox School of Business, and we saw him teaching in practice yesterday and this morning. This team is very well schooled, well prepared.
Issues offensively, just 3 of 14 to begin this game for the Owls. Shooting over 20%. As possession will stay with Temple with 8 on the shot clock. A Houston defense that ranks second only in field goal percentage to Texas Tech at 36%. And we're seeing that tonight as Temple with just 1 field goal in the last 6 minutes. Moore with the beautiful left hand.
Alani Moore goes down with an ankle, limping back. Alani Moore with an explosive step to the basket, dribble penetration, shoulder side, right there. Look how low he gets. He gets his pants low to the ground and just explodes to the basket and comes back a little bit gimpy and takes a break. We'll keep an eye on that.
Moore, the junior out of the nation's capital, who was key in the win on Sunday against Wichita State with a key pair of threes that he hit.
And he hasn't shot the ball well. He's shot under 30% basically for his career. And so all 3 balls that come from Alani Moore are big.
Brooks from the elbow. And the struggles for Houston's offense continue.
Now, there are some matchup issues right now. Quentin Rose matched up with Armani Brooks. Rose has a little bit of size on him. It's bothering Brooks.
Mormon. Great vision by Pierre-Louis to a flat P, and it's a 9-0 run for Temple, answering Houston's 7-0 run.
It started with the double team down on Mormon, who recognized it, and quick ball movement, and a flat P went right to the open wood. Temple doing a good job of recognizing opportunities given. It goes down to Moore. He recognized the double team. Back out. A flat P goes to the open wood. Well played. Well prepared. Temple by 6.
Thanks to a 9-0 run for Temple, the Owls have a 21-15 lead over number 17 Houston, one of 3 undefeateds left in college basketball, along with Michigan and Virginia. From your standpoint, Mark, what is Temple doing to cause frustration for Houston?
I like their matchups. In particular, Quentin Rose is taking away Corey Davis Jr. and also Armani Brooks when he's matched up. Now we got Nate Pierre-Louis matched up with Brooks. That's a good matchup for Temple.
White, baseline into the corner. 3 that comes down. Nate Hinton coming off a big performance against Memphis, 19 points and 9 rebounds, and a good answer for the Cougars.
John, that's why their ceiling is high. You got a freshman like Nate Hinton, who's at 6'5", can see over shorter defenders and knock down the 3 ball.
Rose, 3 that goes down, and that's a good sign for Temple for a junior guard that has struggled from beyond the arc this season. And Robinson with an answer.
For all the defense we saw earlier, we're seeing offense raining down here at the Liacouras Center over the last 4 possessions.
24-21 lead for Temple, looking to knock off the 15-0 Houston Cougars. And how about Quentin Rose with the last 5 points for the Owls?
Every time a shorter defender rotates to Quentin Rose, he's exposing them.
Rose was someone who tested the NBA waters, was told to elevate his game, become more of an elite scorer, as Davis with the offensive rebound.
How tough is he? We saw him in practice. How tough is that dude?
He is a true leader for this team, along with Robinson. You talk about that shoot-around last night. That was as most intense of a shoot-around as I have ever seen calling college basketball games.
Yeah, you'd have been dead if you were out there in Jersey.
It was intense. It was high-flying. It was certainly high energy as well. And a foul that takes us to a timeout. Temple looking to knock off undefeated Houston. They've got a 3-point lead here at the 6:44 mark of the first half.
been effective offensively. They're exposing mismatches. 6'3" in Armani Brooks against 6'5" in Quentin Rose, and he drags him out to the mid area of 12 feet and just sticks it right in front of the Houston bench. Quentin Rose got a dunk early in this game. Brick, that basket is twice as big for Quentin Rose right now.
And we've seen him this season step up on multiple occasions. You go back to that win against Davidson, had the key steal and the key go-ahead bucket to give the Owls the victory in Atlantic City. The Owls, who struggled to begin the game, 4 of 17, have knocked down their last 4 shots. And Rose draws contact, will head to the free throw line.
So Fran Dunphy knows that Quentin Rose has been the offensive weapon for Temple early in this game. What does he do coming out of the timeout? Gives the ball to what is now his best player. Yeah, Shiz Alston's best player for the season, but Quentin Rose has been the best player over the last 4 minutes.
Rose now into double figures with 10 as Robinson picked up the foul as Giroux comes in for Brooks. Shiz Alston, who's the #1 scorer in the conference, but let's not forget about Quentin Rose, second on this team in scoring over 16 a game.
Watch Quentin Rose, #1 against Giroux. Shot goes up. Rose with the rebound.
Quick one and done for Houston. You go back to their win against Memphis, 28 points came off of turnovers. You add in offensive rebounds, they had a +11 advantage tonight. They're only getting a one-and-done opportunity.
Watch Bryson Gresham. Now, this is a young dude. Look how he responds to the ball. This is a guy that doesn't have the repetitions of a lot of guys that have all the experience, but that young dude is going to turn into a great one for Kelvin Sampson.
Part of the depth that we talked about. Gresham along with White. You add in Brady as well in the front court.
Gresham's going to be the best one of the bunch. It's all said and done.
A Flackby off the assist from Shiz Alston. Has built this lead up to 6 with under 6 minutes to go.
Boy, good job by Temple with backside rotation. The ball just stalled.
Hinton guarded by Perry. 7 on the shot clock for the freshman. And the loose rebound into the hands of Rose.
I am really impressed with Temple's half-court defense in this first half. It has been textbook.
Temple undefeated at home this season, 5-0. Off an impressive road victory in overtime against Wichita State. Rose, the push-off, and the 3 does not go down. Giroux at the point. Robinson, great vision in the corner. Davis knocks down the 3. The 6th made 3 for Houston tonight.
If I'm Fran Dunphy at halftime, there's only one thing I'm going to talk about. Defensive transition. That's how Houston has scored effectively. Half-court sets, it's been painful at times for them to get the ball in the right spots. Watch how quickly the ball goes from A to B to C. And look at the white jerseys who defend the basket. You can't transition defense to the basket. You got to transition defense to people.
Robinson off that assist. He's second in the American, averaging 5.5 per game. The heart and soul of this team, according to Kelvin Sampson. Bounce pass, Davis. Alston comes up with it.
Well, Davis had 2 guys flying at him, and Jalen Robinson was wide open at the top of the key. There's Rose again, going off that cut. He's got Corey Davis down low.
Alston with Grisham in his face. No, rebound, and the second chance by Flackby.
Boy, Ernest Flackby right now is owning the paint inside, and a careless pass by Fabian White.
Leads to a Perry bucket, and Temple is starting to roll right now over Houston, their largest lead of this first half. 7-point lead for Temple. Looking to knock off one of the 3 undefeateds here in college basketball. And a foul before the basket.
Fouls on number 22, Devontae Perry. That's his second.
Perry with his second.
There's the timeout.
Houston undefeated at 15-0, and they've had tremendous concentration, but a careless pass leads to an easy deuce. The undefeated number 17 team is in trouble here in Philly.
Number 1 Duke has a rising star.
Hold up, let me get up in it now. I'm here to win it now.
But the Seminoles are issuing a no-fly zone in Tallahassee. Number 1 Duke, number 13 Florida State. Saturday at 2 on ESPN.
Zion Williamson has been an absolute phenomenon this year, Mark, in college basketball. And you saw what he did last night against Wake Forest, the first freshman in Duke history to put up 30 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists.
He does not want to be known as just a dunker. Look at that stat line. 5 assists from Zion Williamson last night. This is a Duke team that is absolutely demoralizing their opponents, winning by an average of 28 points per game. And now they go to Florida State, who only scored 52 against Virginia in their last outing on the road.
Virginia, along with Houston and Michigan, the last 3 unbeatens in college basketball. Houston right now on the ropes in this first half against the Owls. Out of the timeout, Davis with 5 left on the shot clock. Jumper, no. There's Alley with the offensive rebound and gives it away. The steal by Quentin Rose. Ahead to Pierre Louis. And he draws the foul.
Temple is doing Temple stuff in this first half. They're getting steals. They're one of the best at getting steals, forcing turnovers, live ball turnovers like that lead to runouts like this. Temple, one of the best in the nation defensively of getting deflections, getting steals, keeping the ball alive, and then turning it into offense.
Giroux with the foul. That's his first, the 16th foul for Houston. Fran Dunphy, who has led this Temple team to 6 straight NCAA tournament appearances. His final year with the Owls. You talk to all the players, they certainly want to go out as a champion for Fran Dunphy. And with playmakers like Quentin Rose, Shiz Alston, and Nate Pierre-Louis, that could certainly happen in this conference.
Heck, I want him to go out as a winner. There isn't anybody in the coaching profession that doesn't want him to go out as a winner.
One of the great coaches in college basketball. Alley unable to convert on the 3. What is Temple doing right now at this point that has confused and frustrated Houston?
Defensively, they've taken away dribble penetration. They've done a really good job on their backside rotations whenever they've doubled.
Giroux the steal and the push off by Rose.
Fouls on number 1, Quentin Rose. That's his second. Team 7. Substitution. Houston number 3, Armani Brooks returns.
Rose with his second foul as Brooks comes back off the bench. As Houston finding themselves down by 9 here at the 2:33 mark of this first half. You mentioned the up and down season for DeJon Giroux, who Kelvin Sampson has really taken under his wings. Missed 7 games because of a violation of team rules. Has dealt with a finger injury, a knee injury, the personal matters with his passing of his grandmother and his cousin as well. And yet he has become a true force off the bench for the first time in his career for Houston.
He starts off every day on Twitter. It says, "Thank God for today." And he said publicly that Coach Sampson always had his back. That's the trust that Coach Sampson, he just delivers to his players. He's tough on them, but he loves them as well.
We saw how tough he was last night at the shoot-arounds. Wave off the basket for Rose, a foul before the shot. But he truly cares about his players, and really the mantra. We saw it last night with Galen Robinson, who was struggling.
Yep.
Got an earful from Coach Sampson, got pulled, and what was he doing?
He was cheering for his teammates.
Exactly.
Was completely engaged, never hung his head. Jalen Robinson got his rear end chewed and then was relieved of duty for a while. And he stood on the sideline, was engaged. He was even coaching during the timeout sections. He'd go into the huddle and coach his team as well. That shows maturity. That shows a young man that doesn't care about his own stats. He cares about winning. And that's the secret sauce for Kelvin Sampson.
The heart and soul is Robinson of this Houston team. Rose knocks down both free throws to stretch this lead out. His 12 points, game high right now, 37-28 Temple. in front as we close upon the last 2 minutes of this first half.
Watch the matchup of Quentin Rose, number 1, with Armani Brooks, number 3 in red. Here comes Brooks. See him close out? He's long that way. He's taking away his jump shot.
Temple's defense has simply confused this Houston offense. Rattles in and out. Does that 3 attempt by Brooks? Davis tried to make a chase for it, but it's Alston controlling possession.
Well, now they're going to make Houston play half-court defense for about the next 15 seconds.
I think what's even more impressive in this first half for Temple is the fact that their leading scorer, Shiz Alston, only has 6, and it's an 11-point advantage.
Because Quentin Rose has stepped up.
Mormon off the 3. Robinson with the rebound, pushing tempo ahead. Good vision in front. Hinton finding the open Grisham.
Again, transition defense by Temple. Every time Houston gets an easy basket, it's off pushing the pace. So Kelvin Sampson's going to go to halftime and say, push it, push it, push it.
Sampson said time and time again, the best is yet to come for Houston. 15-0 on the season. Rose with an answer driving baseline.
That's awful. It's really good by Quentin Rose, but rarely do you see a layup like that against this vaunted Houston defense.
The #1 scoring defense in the American, allowing less than 60 points in a game. What a shot! Unbelievable reverse by Grisham.
You like the upside of this team?
Wow.
And they're going to get better. They're good now. I'm telling you, next year they'll be even better.
Timeout taken by Temple. We have to see that again. That was incredible. As Rose first setting the tone, and then the answer for Houston.
And then Bryson Gresham, little dribble penetration. Finally, Temple, they find a seam, and Gresham just dunks it over his head.
Grisham with the last 4 points for Houston, finding themselves down by 7. Reminder as well, tip off your weekend with our next NBA Friday doubleheader on ESPN, 7:30 Eastern, Pacers and Knicks. And then we'll take you to Salt Lake City for the Lakers. Could be a chance for LeBron to get back in this game, squaring off against the Jazz. Coverage begins with NBA Countdown at 7 Eastern on ESPN and on the ESPN app. Quentin Rose, 14 points to lead the way for Temple. Did test the NBA waters in the offseason. Was told to be a more consistent, elite scorer. Here tonight, he's doing that against this vaunted Houston defense.
It's amazing when an athlete like him gets a dunk early in the game, and then how the rest of his offensive confidence flows from that. And that's exactly what we saw from Quentin Rose. He got it from defense early in this game.
About a 2-second difference between shot clock and game clock for Alston.
Usually a flat P comes up for the ball screen, and Shiz Alston makes a play. Here it comes.
Shot clock to 3 for Alston. Saw that at Wichita State. Good defense by Houston. And that will close out the first half. How about Temple? No fear whatsoever for number 17 Houston, coming in 15-0. All the storylines surrounding the Cougars. But here's Quentin Rose leading the way for Temple as they have a 39-32 lead. Stay tuned. Coming after the break, we'll take you to the college basketball studio.
#1 Duke has a rising star,
Hold up, let me get up in it now. I'm here to win it now.
but the Seminoles are issuing a no-fly zone in Tallahassee. #1 Duke, #13 Florida State, Saturday at 2 on ESPN.
Mark, there hasn't been a player quite like Zion Williamson to hit the college basketball landscape in quite some time.
And R.J. Barrett and Williamson putting up historic numbers in the ACC. Along with Cam Reddish, they averaged 53 points a game. To put that in perspective, Florida State only scored 52 the last time out against Virginia.
I got another stat for you. 30 dunks Zion has on the year. That is one more than all of Duke's opponents have combined. Duke and Florida State come your way 2 Eastern on ESPN on Saturday. We're in the city of brotherly love. Temple and Houston will have first half highlights and stats and get you set for the second half tip on the other side of the break. Look at downtown Market Street in Philadelphia, the city of underdogs. Temple looking to pull off an upset tonight against undefeated Houston. Back with you, John Brickley, alongside Mark Adams. Here's a Houston team, highest ranking in 30 years. Best start in over 50 years. But why are they down by 7?
Quentin Rose and the Temple defense. Quentin Rose been so good since early in the half of getting his rhythm when Temple got a steal and Rose got a dunk. And then the basket became huge for Quentin Rose as they took advantage of his size inside and outside. And defensively, Quentin Rose has also made a difference with this stingy Temple defense in the first half. The white jerseys are like they are connected. Watch this matchup, Quentin Rose number 1 versus 13 DeJon Jarreau. Jarreau gives it up and then will give it right back. Watch what happens in this matchup. Stay focused on 113. Look at this. Quentin Rose just takes the gate and shuts it for DeJon Jarreau, who's an elite driver to the basket. It's been this type of defense by Temple, this type of hustle in order to go get the basketball. That's why they've held Houston to 41% on the first half.
And Temple has orchestrated a blueprint, in essence, to beat Houston, a +3 advantage in offensive rebounds, a +7 edge in points in the paint.
And free throws because Temple has been the aggressor going to the basket.
And if you're wondering what's the largest deficit Houston has to contend with this year, was 15 against LSU, part of a non-conference schedule that included wins against Oregon, BYU, and Utah State. Robinson at the point with 7 to shoot. Brady front ironed it. A Flackby comes down with the rebound.
That LSU team is an athletic bunch in Houston. That was a good win for Houston.
Nate Pierre-Louis, the talented sophomore, driving hard off glass.
That's why Temple's gotten to the free throw line as well. They've drove hard to the basket. They haven't faded. They've gone right to the rim.
8 points for Pierre-Louis, coming in on a 3-game streak of at least 20 or more points for the Temple Owls. Brady finding Robinson all sorts of time. And issues continue offensively for Houston. And possession goes right back to the Cougars.
I'm sure Kelvin Sampson challenged his team defensively to move their feet more aggressively, rebound the basketball, and push pace from the defensive end to the offensive end. That's critical for Houston to win this game.
Reach and foul against a Flackby. Temple's defense has kept in check this talented senior backcourt of Robinson and Davis. How have they been able to challenge 2 of the best guards in the American?
Well, I think they match up well. But John, one of the things that's really interesting to start the half is that Fran Dunphy came in with a game plan to really get into the perimeter guys and also deny the ball to Breon Brady. Did a pretty good job in the first half, but Brady got off to a good start. Now Kelvin Sampson's saying, you know, you're Rook and my Bishop. I'm going to get down to my Bishop now. I'm going to get down to Breon Brady and let him go to work and play some inside-out basketball. I find it fascinating, the adjustments here to start the second half.
And quite the contrast we're seeing in Brady's performance the last time he faced Temple a year ago. Career-high 21 points on 8 of 9 shooting. Has been limited to just single digits in this game.
Temple has been running a second defender at him consistently, and he hasn't handled it quite as well as Coach Sampson would like.
Rose from the corner. And Brady comes down with the rebound.
So Rose starts this half with a 3 versus a dunk in the first half. See if he gets his rhythm like he did in the first half.
Brooks knocks down the jumper. And Houston looking for an answer. All the storylines coming in for this Cougars program. Just one of 3 undefeateds left in college basketball, along with Michigan and Virginia. Battle tested tonight against a stingy Owls team.
I'd look for Brooks again. There he is.
Extra pass, alley. Counted in the foul.
Offensive transition versus defensive transition. The ball movement as Temple again struggles to get back to communicate and stop a very quick-moving offense in the secondary for Houston. Well done.
Cedric Alley, the hometown kid out of Houston, Texas. A Flackpee called for his third personal. Alley, an 81% free throw shooter, looking to cut into this deficit.
Houston is different this half. They're more like they've been throughout this season.
Why?
Because Kelvin Sampson just tore some paint off the wall, probably in the locker room, and challenged his team to play Houston Cougar defense. They weren't terrible in the first half, but they just weren't as effective. And offensively, move the ball, pick up pace.
Pierre-Louis, left-handed shot. Doesn't drop for the sophomore guard. A chance to tie it on this possession for the Cougars. Davis inside to Brady. Stripped of the basketball, but they're going to call a foul, and that's going to go against Damian Moore. Check that. That's going to go against Pierre-Louis. He'll be his second.
No question. The aggressor here early is Houston. Corey Davis Jr. taking it to the rim. We've seen dribble penetration now consistently from the guards of Houston to start this half, and looking for Breon Brady as they feel help coming. Good adjustment by Kelvin Sampson. Houston's playing Houston basketball now. They're playing about half nasty.
Brady out of Akron, Ohio, the JUCO transfer. Effective at the free throw line, shooting 77% on the season. And the offensive rebound collected by Brooks. Part of this DNA for Houston. Offensive rebounding, second chance points. Brady again, strong with the left hand. And a 9-0 run for the Cougars, and we are all tied up at 41.
The complexion has changed from the beginning of the second half. Houston throwing punches now.
Now the question is, can Temple counter with those punches? Alston, great feed to Moore.
He never lost his vision angle against that double team. Even though he went low, he kept his eyes up.
Davis, the floater in the lane. As Perry comes down with it quickly in transition. And maybe an errant pass by Pierre-Louis on the turnover for Temple.
Let's see if Houston continues to pound the ball inside, either off the dribble or off the pass. There they go.
Alley. As Perry called for the foul, that'll be his third, gets us to a timeout.
Shiz Alston never keeps his eye off the prize. Double teamed, goes low. Look at him. Where's my open dude? Beautifully done by Shiz Alston.
John Brickley, Mark Adams back with you. Temple a 2-point lead on 15-0, 17th ranked Houston. There you take a look at Shiz Alston Jr., one of Philly's finest, and there's a great relationship between him and his father. A good article in The Athletic. Levan, who played 2 seasons in the mid-90s at Temple, and he was around him time and time again, watching him throughout his childhood. Played pickup games, did Levan with Alvin Williams, Kerry Kittle, some of the greats. So he has certainly the DNA of Philly basketball in his blood.
Well, as a father, here's when you know you have a player. At 5 years old, Shiz was playing. He tripped and fell and broke his tooth off. He gave the tooth to his mother and went back out and played.
That is remarkable. As Brooks comes out of the timeout, and Houston goes up by 1.
Armani Brooks now has his rhythm. We saw it in the previous jump shot, and credit Houston for going back to him again. He'll see the ball consistently now.
Brooks, who had 6 3-pointers in the win Sunday against Memphis. Rose. Offensive rebound, and a foul underneath the basket on the second chance.
Quentin Rose is now settling for the jump shot. And that's Nate Pierre-Louis that goes up strong and draws contact, and now will go to the line. Kelvin Sampson didn't like the call on. There was a delayed whistle to boot.
Brady called for his third. That is just the first team foul for Houston compared to 4 in this second half for Temple.
Houston's been the aggressor.
Substitution.
And with that, Grisham comes off the bench as Brady has to sit with those 3 fouls. Kelvin Sampson, a remarkable job he has done in his first 5 years here with Houston. 3 straight 20-win seasons after a 13-19 start in his first year with the Cougars program.
He's won everywhere he's been, and I've watched it from day one. Head coach at Montana Tech, he won.
Brooks again. And a foul against Grisham. Kelvin Sampson, you talked about the legacy. You were an assistant coach under him at Washington State, but here with Houston, the 13 wins in year number 1, but ended that regular season on a 4-game winning streak. Then he had a couple of NIT runs, and then last year, the run to the second round of the NCAA tournament, losing on that heartbreaker to Michigan.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda been a Final Four team.
This year certainly can be in the driver's seat in the American Conference. Definitely in that conversation as a Flatby, or check that more, able to cause the foul against Gresham.
Foul number 55, Bryson Gresham.
And Damian Moore goes one-on-one down low.
At the line is number 23, Damian Moore.
The junior against the freshman was able to draw contact. And now Temple's starting to play a little inside-out basketball.
And now the foul trouble starting to pick up for the bigs for Houston. You've got Brady on the bench with 3, and now Gresham has just picked up his 3rd foul.
You know, Brick, we were just talking about Kelvin Sampson, and I watched him at Montana Tech. He was a 25-year-old head coach. And we're sitting at a bar in Butte. I know you'd be surprised I'd be sitting at a bar in Butte, Montana.
I'm more surprised when you're on Twitter.
And we were visiting, just getting to know each other. Both very young head coaches at the time. We were helping each other to grow professionally. And I asked him where he came from, and he talked about his experiences growing up as a Lumbee Indian in North Carolina. And it was fascinating to me. He's the only Native American head coach of Native American descent in NCAA Division I. He's always been an underdog. He's always played the role of the underdog. And now at 15-0, the hunter has become the hunted.
And he's got some good playmakers like Davis and Fabian White off the second chance opportunity. And Houston goes in front by 1 as White with his first points of the game.
With Breon Brady on the bench, Fabian White is a guy that can elevate this team in the paint.
Had the foot surgery in June, just got back into game shape back in November. Foul against Hinton on the drive by Shiz Alston. And now that'll be the 14th foul against Houston.
Team foul number 4, substitution for the Avs. Number 22, Devondre Perry. Number 4.
This is a battle of wills now. Under 14, it's possession by possession basketball.
Rose finds an open Pierre-Louis for 3. A 31% three-point shooter puts him into double figures with 12.
Nobody works harder than Nate Pierre-Louis.
Off the give from Robinson. White missing off the elbow.
Shiz Alston really looking for Quentin Rose. Didn't get it to him early enough.
Rose, acrobatic, but does draw the contact.
Quentin Rose just got bailed out. Out of control, not balanced, trying to force his offensive game a little bit. Was tremendously successful in the first half. Now you feel him pressing a little bit and just got bailed out into the free throw line, and Kelvin Sampson didn't like the call at all.
You had made mention moments ago, Mark, about this being a battle of wills down the stretch. What, from your sense, is going to be that X factor to see which side comes away with the victory?
On the Temple side, Fran Dunphy has an X factor, and Shiz Alston wants to take and make big shots. On the Houston side, you've got those gritty guards led by Armani Brooks, who can shoot the ball. We saw it last night in practice. He doesn't need a window to shoot it. He just needs it to open a little bit in order to make the play. It's going to be fun to watch coming down the stretch. We got some players here in the American.
Giroux finds an open Hinton in the corner. And how about the rookie out of North Carolina coming up with the bucket to put Houston within one?
That's why their ceiling is high. Freshmen like Hinton.
The preseason American Freshman of the Year. Nearly a double-double in the first 2 games against Tulsa and Memphis in conference play. Alston's got 6. Defender in his face. And the weak side rebound picked up by Hinton, who wants to go. Going coast to coast, and he will go to the free throw line.
I love this kid.
That's his first team foul.
Don't hold it back, Mark. Don't hold it back.
I love this kid. He had 19 points, 9 rebounds in the win over Memphis. You can just see him blossom. He's starting to figure it out. He's starting to understand what's expected of him on a daily basis. The light bulb is coming on for Nate Hinton.
Hinton, whose father is a minister in North Carolina, got his PhD in seminary studies out of Duke, Dr. Benjamin Hinton. And he is the future of this program, coming off the bench, where most programs, he'd be a starter.
Yeah, his mom, Tangela, is a school administrator as well. Really good family, comes from good stock, plays like he comes from good stock.
Extra pass, Alston, deep 3, and Hinton skies in for the rebound. Gives it off to Brooks. Out of nowhere, Giroux falls hard to the deck. The redshirt sophomore still lingering as he comes down court. Rose, though, for Temple with the bucket to put the Owls in front.
Rose finally gets an easy one here in the second half with under 12 minutes to go. What a shot DeJon Giroux took and got right back up and sprinted back on defense.
Rose has got 18 points. 35 in his last 2 games, including the win over Wichita State. Hinton with another 3-pointer. Nate Hinton, who scored the last 8 points for the Cougars, has them up by 2.
And the assist from DeJon Giroux, who was on his back about 30 seconds ago.
Extra pass leaves Rose open. And who else but Giroux comes down with it for Houston. And now a steal by Rose. Take a breath, everybody. We got a timeout on the floor.
Take a deep breath and understand how you compete as a Cougar of Houston. DeJon Giroux goes down, hits the back of his head, sprints back defensively, and then makes this offensive play for the assist. DeJon Giroux, you are one tough son of a gun.
There's rare company, only 3 undefeated teams left in college basketball, Mark. The Houston Cougars, along with Virginia and Michigan. How does Houston right now, who has been battle-tested against a very stingy Temple team, have a 2-point lead? How do they close this one out?
Continue to push pace, going from defense to offense. The number 17 ranked team in the Associated Press poll. That's the highest ranking since the final poll of 83 and 84 during 5 Slamma-Jamma days. So call your friends, call your family, call your enemies, call your divorced spouse, and get on ESPN News right now. We're watching history here tonight.
Pierre-Louis out of that timeout. Meanwhile, I'm a guy getting married in 6 months. Thanks a lot for painting that picture. Along with Mark Adams, John Brickley with you.
Congratulations, by the way. And condolences to Jen.
Here's Brooks. No. White with the offensive rebound. Davis making his defender jump. Oh, nearly a second chance point.
Yeah, it's a technical foul for hanging on the rim. Hey, you gotta love the attitude. I mean, he's selling out to go get you an offensive stick back. Goes up the first time, that's good, that's bad. Now, especially when the floor down beneath you is nice and clean and nobody's under you.
Calvin Sampson arguing his case to our officiating crew of Anthony Jordan, John Gaffney. and Byron Jarrett. And now an official review being taken place over at the monitor.
The Class B technical foul has been assessed to Houston. Number 3, Armani Brooks.
So a technical foul issued against Armani Brooks that will pull Alston to the free throw line, nearly automatic on the year, a 92% free throw shooter. Houston has been in this situation before during their non-conference play. They had to deal with LSU, Oregon, their closest wins this year, each by 4 points to Oregon and St. Louis, a tough team, preseason favorite out of the A10. And here tonight, Temple is on their home court, 5-0 with a 1-point lead. It's been a great battle between these two programs here tonight.
Only the third road game for Houston this year.
The last one coming over a month ago against Oklahoma State. And the charge with the elbow by Alston leads to a turnover on the offensive foul.
Well, DeJon Jarreau is just so quick. He places Alston to the right, moves his feet right in front of the official, and the official calls the charge. And you know, Brick, a lot of people think you got to be set. You got to be set. No, you have to establish defensive guarding position. You can be moving and take the charge. Alston will take a blow now.
Both teams with 6 fouls. Free throw advantage has been on the side of Temple. Jarreau lost the handle of it. White and traveled with the basketball.
Traveling. Violation.
Now the 8th turnover for Houston. Temple did a great job against Wichita State, forcing 22 turnovers. Didn't take long for that tie to come off here after that call. Kelvin Sampson, and now a foul that looks to go against Davis.
A technical foul on the Houston bench.
And Robinson is the one holding back his own head coach.
The crazy thing is Sampson actually went and sat down.
So we saw a technical foul against Brooks for hanging on the rim.
Yep.
Now the Houston bench has been teed up. That puts Quentin Rose to the free throw line. Have you seen this year a situation like this where we have seen Houston visibly frustrated against an opponent?
Well, they do play with a lot of emotion. So to your answer, yes. I mean, when you watch Kelvin Sampson coach, when we see him in practice, when we see him in games, but his team responds to those things. But what was strange about that technical foul is that when it was called on him, he was actually sitting down on the bench, which he doesn't sit down on the bench very often. I'm not saying he didn't say anything, but I'm saying that it wasn't demonstrative.
I thought the important part of that was the leader. Galen Robinson had to pull his coach back. Tells you the senior leadership he's got on his bench. Rose, short on the jumper, and possession to Houston.
Yeah, that wasn't the technical foul that Kelvin Sampson wanted. He didn't feel like he earned that technical foul.
And Temple's taking advantage off the 2 technicals. Going 3 of 3 from the free throw line. A 3-point lead, 57-54. Houston, one of just 3 unbeatens left in college basketball, tested tonight against one of their rivals in conference play. Davis, an offensive foul and another turnover. And now Kelvin Sampson pointing right in the direction of John Gaffney. Mark, this was a question coming in for this Houston team, having just played their 3rd true road game of the season.
And let's remember those 3 points, because in this game, those 3 points could be huge.
Right now, it's been the difference why Temple has the lead. Alston for 3. Got it!
It's always a luxury when you have a player that's willing to take and make big shots, and his teammates believe in him as well. That player is Shiz Alston. So you wonder why coaches get a little upset after the technical foul is Corey Davis Jr. and he rotates right. Look at there's a little bit of contact as Corey Davis Jr. goes by his defender. Might graze the face of Nate Pierre-Louis, who sells it extremely well.
That's one of the best acting jobs I have seen in quite some time. As Corey Davis, who has held scoreless in this half, and things have really turned for the worse for Houston in just the last 2 minutes. 2 technical fouls and 3 turnovers. And the rebound brought down, stolen away by Davis, unable to convert. And a smart play by Nate Pierre-Louis to slow the pace down for Temple.
By the letter of the rule, you could interpret that as a foul. However, I don't think that was a good call.
Shiz Alston, he is starting to feel it. The #1 scorer in the American, averaging over 19 a game, stretches out the lead to 8 for the Owls. And possession goes to Temple.
Where everything is going Temple's way.
Keep
in
in mind,
Houston visibly upset and frustrated.
Keep in mind, Mark, for Temple, their last home game that they won versus a ranked opponent was February of last year against 16th ranked Wichita State.
Shiz Alston made the bucket to win that game.
He was crucial against the Shockers on Sunday, scoring the last 7 in 42 minutes in overtime.
I was there to witness it. It was impressive.
A Flackby. And he traveled with the basketball. 9th turnover for Temple.
There's a timeout on the floor.
Fran Dunphy in his final season for Temple, looking to orchestrate a win for the ages as Temple up by 8 with a timeout on the floor. Back inside the Liacouras Center here in Philadelphia. Temple with a 62-54 lead on 15-0 Houston, ranked 17th in the country. Brady off the bench playing with those 3 fouls and a good answer out of the break.
Really good screen by Jalen Robinson, who got Breon Brady free right there. Really well done by the point guard, just sticking his nose into a guy. Houston's going to make a run. It's going to get tight.
Pierre-Louis finds Mormon in the corner with the answer for Temple. And that's a good sign off the bench for Temple. The Owls dealing with the injury to Alani Moore, a left ankle sprain, so depth an issue moving forward in this game for Fran Dunphy.
Now Mormon at 6'7", can see over smaller defenders, and a very good shooter from behind the arc, almost 37, 38 for the year.
Foul away from the ball.
Fouls on number 24, Ernest Flackby, that's his 4th.
You know, J.P. Mormon sets up really well. Look at the shot preparation right there. Catches it in rhythm. I love guys that pass right into the shooting pocket. No, shooter doesn't have to move his hands anywhere, just can catch and release.
And he's been a guy that's been inconsistent for Temple. He was scoreless against Villanova, scoreless against UMass. As Brady at the free throw line, a Flackby called for his 4th. That forces Moore back onto the floor. Brady's been the difference maker so far for Houston in this game. When he's on the floor tonight, plus 11. Advantage for the Cougars offense, minus 20 with off.
Well, remember, he was a 20-point scorer in their win over Temple a year ago.
Breon Brady, who has consistently gotten a little bit better at the free throw line. A 77% free throw shooter coming in double figures with the 11 points and 4 assists.
He was a 300-pound guy once upon a time, Brick. Now he's playing at about 253. I mean, he's wedged out. He's really worked hard. Much more explosive.
Calvin Sampson described him as an old school brawler. How does Houston, who has been known to be one of the best defenses in the country, adjust to what Temple has been doing offensively?
You know, I think they have adjusted. I think they've done a pretty good job in their half-court sets. It's been that the free throw line, the Temple has been able to get there through technical fouls in the second half and some other calls as well. And Temple's been able to rule the free throw line. In the first half, they had a real advantage. And Houston, when they can get out and do this, that's what they've done since the beginning of the second half. Get out and push pace, and Jalen Robinson now goes to the free throw line, a little dinged up on his hand.
Galen Robinson, the heart and soul of this Cougars team. A 67% free throw shooter. And Rose comes down with it as the lead stays at 7 for Temple. Galen Robinson, along with Corey Davis, the senior backcourt, has only combined for 15 points for Houston. Alston with the push-off, back ironed it. How about Pierre-Louis coming up with the offensive rebound and a fresh 30?
Wow. Galen Robinson now matched up with Shiz Alston on the backside, denying the ball.
Stripped it was Brooks, leading in transition for Houston, the 10th turnover for Temple. Robinson thought about the three. Gives it off to Davis. And there's Brady. And Houston gets it to within 5, 65-60. Houston trails as we approach the 5:30 mark of this game.
Boy, Corey Davis Jr. has been an overdrive going to the basket.
Alston with 12 points, averages 19 on the season. Rose spots up, top of the arc. Rebound taken down by Robinson, they want to run. Brooks in transition for three.
Good look. Good look in the 94-foot set.
And a timeout taken by Fran Dunphy with the Owls up by 5. Fran Dunphy, who at the end of this year is going to retire, made the announcement in April. Aaron McKee, his associate head coach, will be taking over as the new head coach in the program come next season. And it's been a part of a decorated career for Fran Dunphy, who is part of a very rare and exclusive company. Active coaches with 200 or more wins at multiple schools. You start with Roy Williams, the success that he had at Kansas, and now with North Carolina. Of course, John Calipari, that Derrick Rose Memphis team that went all the way to the national championship game, what he's done with Kentucky. And Fran Dunphy at Penn, won 10 Ivy League titles. Now has had success as well at Temple in his 13 years. And Huggy Bear himself, Bob Huggins, Cincinnati, and with West Virginia as well. There's some things in life you'll never forget. I really wish, and we talked about this with Fran at the shoot-around today, bring back the stash. I love the stash.
There's pictures in his office of days gone by. There's one picture of his entire team with his stash. All of them have a pasted-on stash. It's a classic.
Maybe the greatest accolade for him, though, the winningest coach in Big 5 history.
Yep. A true legend and a great educator.
And a turnover forced. Pierre-Louis stepped on the baseline.
Traveling is the goal.
A traveling violation, in fact, so Houston forcing another Temple turnover. The 11 turnovers for the Owls, matching their season average. Brady with the left hook, and Rose comes down with it.
Boy, Houston comes up empty, but they've executed well to get it down to Breon Brady.
Alston, fadeaway jumper, no. Robinson comes down with the rebound. The Houston native gives it off as Brooks in transition, and it just seems that there's so many different options for Houston, yet they're playing at a rush pace.
No, I don't mind the rush pace because they're in the open court, they're getting open looks. Shots just aren't falling for them right now. That frustration level has affected them somewhat. But here's where the leadership of a Galen Robinson, as they go inside to a flat peak. Great job by Brady.
And it last went off a flat peak. Gives Bell back to Houston. Temple with 9 straight empty trips, but yet they've got a 5-point lead. Can they knock off the undefeated Houston Cougars? Back to Philly in a moment. There are only 3 undefeated teams left in college basketball. One of them, the 17th ranked Houston Cougars, 15-0 after their best start in over 50 years. For Michigan, number 2 in the country, Charles Matthews, Iggy Brosdakis, the Wolverines at 15-0 for John Beilein, and Virginia coming off that impressive win over Florida State, 13-0. But here in Philadelphia, known for their underdogs, Kelvin Sampson and this Cougars team with their backs to the wall. Less than 4 minutes to go, down by 5.
But we saw yesterday in practice where Galen Robinson Jr. was challenged to lead. This is where you lead. Under 4. A big game. Robinson with the ball.
What's the blueprint for Houston to get back into this game and cut into this deficit?
I think they've done a good job of getting the ball to Breon Brady. That's a forced shot right there. Credit Temple's defense. I think they still need to look inside out.
Robinson spotting up. And now a foul after the shot. That is going to go against Temple. And that's going to go against J.P. Mormon. That's going to be his second. And that'll be the 19th foul against the Temple Owls.
The line is number 24, Breon Brady.
Brick, Brady is doing the work inside. I think you're rewarding. Look, there's 3:19. There's an eternity left in this game. It's a 5-point deficit. You can still play inside out. You're not going to score 5 points in one possession. And he's a willing passer as well.
Brady 3 of 6 from the free throw line tonight. Part of the depth that we have talked about with Houston that not many teams around the country have. Literally, their bench could be a starting 5 for a number of other programs.
And the diversity of their defenders, the functionality of them being able to play multiple positions defensively makes them very, very dangerous team.
Brady knocks down 2 key free throws, gets the Cougars within 3. As we come upon the last 3:15 of this game, and it has been a battle-tested game for both of these programs. Temple looking to end a 3-game losing streak to Houston, while improved to 6-0 at home.
Here's your matchup. Alston versus Robinson, 10 versus 25. Here we go.
Alston, step back 3, no. Left open is Perry underneath. And able to fight for the offensive rebound.
Foul number 3, Ronnie Brooks, that's his first.
Devondre Perry, he needs to rebound. He needs to bring energy. No better time than right now.
1-1.
Perry, an 81% free throw shooter. Temple opened up conference play with a loss on the road to UCF. Their only losses this year, Villanova, UCF, and VCU.
And wins against Cal, Missouri, Davidson was a big win for them.
Best start for Fran Dunphy and company since 2010, as Perry knocks down key free throws to extend the lead back to 5 for the Owls. The number 17 team in the country, the Houston Cougars, 15-0 in a fight to keep their undefeated season alive here in Philadelphia. Brady Strong move to the basket and finishes with the left hand.
That's why you give it to him. You continue to run through the big shoulders of Breon Brady. He is delivering. He's been successful against this team before. Keep going to the well.
And he's the reason why Houston's still in this game, scoring 9 of their last 10. Down by 3. Keep in mind those 2 technical fouls that led to 3 free throws for Temple. Good give on the drive. A Blackby may have been partially blocked. Instead, Houston with a chance on this possession to tie it.
Boy, Brady is hurt.
He has been a workhorse. Back to the big fella, and again, Breon Brady continues to add to the stat sheet.
He's limping up and down the floor, grasping his left hip, but still scoring time after time after time. Toughness from Breon Brady.
Breon Brady, who has scored 11 of the last 12 points for Houston, and he has been the X factor, the impact player we have seen tonight.
Brick, we talked about the importance of continuing to run your offense through the big fella. He's been good, especially in the second half. He played so well against Temple a year ago, and Houston has figured it out. They've unlocked the key to the stingy defense. Get it down to 24, Breon Brady, and he is delivering.
Brady, again, we go to the stat. When he faced Temple last year, career high 21 points, 8 of 9 shooting, 9 rebounds. That was in 21 minutes on the floor. Give me a sense. You've been a head coach. What's the message by Coach Sampson? And on the other side, what is Fran Dunphy telling his players?
Well, Galen Robinson has been matched up with Shiz Alston Jr. That's the key matchup to watch because Shiz Alston Jr. is their go-to guy in a late-game situation. Option B is Nate Pierre-Louis, who can take the ball to the rack. Quentin Rose would be third option, even though he was so good in the first half. So you got to cut off the head. You got to get after Shiz Alston, not let him catch the basketball. Offensively, keep feeding the big Brahma bull down low.
A battle of wills. Mark, you have touched upon it time and time again in tonight's game. For Houston, the last time they suffered a loss, Jordan Poole was still celebrating, running around the court last year in the second round of the NCAA tournament. Again, Houston with their best start in over 50 years, their highest ranking in over 30 years. For Temple, they've been known to be a second half team, a 1-point lead out of the timeout. And a foul before the play.
This is an NCAA tournament-like game. Temple, who's 3-3 against Quadrant 1 and Quadrant 2 opponents on the season. They have an NCAA tournament resume right now. With a home win, it catapults them, not on the bubble, but right now, into a tournament slot if it were held today. For Houston, it's the opportunity to stay undefeated at 15-0, looking for number 16 on the road in a tough environment.
The reason why Temple has built up a 3-point lead, their free throw shooting tonight. 23 of 26 at the line. Less than 90 seconds to go. And now a steal and a battle for it. Robinson lost the handle to Rose. And now a miss on the other end, and Temple, the fans inside the Leocourt Center starting to feel a potential upset. Rose for 3, way off the mark, and Houston will regain possession.
Junkyard dog basketball. 2 teams that want it, undefeated, and a team that wants a bid. Advantage Temple for the loose ball, and Quentin Rose with the dunk. Temple by 5.
How big was that field goal for Temple? First one in over 6 minutes for this Owls offense. With a timeout on the floor and a 5-point lead, for the Owls. Reminder, SportsCenter tonight after the Pistons and Lakers with Stan and Neil from LA. They'll go inside the Rams-Cowboys numbers, plus how the Chargers plan to defend Tom Brady, and full Bucks-Rockets post-game coverage. SportsCenter tonight after our NBA doubleheader on ESPN and on the ESPN app. You're Houston, you're down by 5, you still have a shot. What's got to be the game plan?
You want a quick hitter at 42 seconds. And remember, Kelvin Sampson has lived part of his life in the NBA. You want a quick hit option to score. If you don't get the quick hit option, then go inside out to Brady. You only need a 2 on this possession because now you're playing for overtime.
Will we see another undefeated team go down? Michigan, Virginia, Houston, the only teams left undefeated in college basketball. Robinson will take the inbound for Houston. Off to Davis, top of the arc for 3. Big 3 out of that timeout for Houston. And the lead is down to 2 for Temple.
Remember, Kelvin Sampson has an NBA pedigree as an assistant coach at San Antonio for the Rockets and for Milwaukee. He wanted a quick strike option and went on the handoff to Corey Davis Jr. You can't ask for a better executed play or a better strategy in late game situation to pull this thing out in regulation or go to overtime. That is great coaching, not good coaching. That is great coaching by Kelvin Sampson.
Davis,
2 for 1.
the leading scorer for Houston, averaging over 15.5 points, but the first points this half for the senior guard. And here's where it stands. Just 3 remain undefeated. Michigan and Virginia, those 2 teams are going to get battle tested throughout their conference play. And here we have Houston on the ropes, 15-0, looking to extend that perfect season.
And now if you're Kelvin Sampson, you're saying defensively, play as hard, trap as hard as you need to get a steal. If the official swallows the whistle, that's just fine. For Fran Dunphy, you're reminding every player, catch, square, be tough with the basketball. Shiz Alston is your go-to guy. Trust him in this situation.
Houston has forced Temple into 11 turnovers in this game. 7 of those coming in this half. And the biggest test right now for the #1 scoring defense in the American is at this point with under 30 seconds to go, down by 2.
Here comes Shiz.
Alston heavily guarded by Houston. 8 on the shot clock. Alston looking for the dagger. Lobs it in. And a shot clock violation. It appears. We'll have to see what Anthony Jordan.
I think the ball may have gone out of bounds before the shot clock went off, and they called it Temple basketball. They will review it. It's all about if that ball went out of bounds and the official made the call prior to the shot clock going to 0.
Anthony Jordan, John Gaffney, and Byron Jarrett are officiating crew as we get another look at it.
The official is calling the ball out of bounds off the knee of Houston. But we'll get it official.
So we had 37.3. Now we have 7.2. So at the end of the day, we had a shot clock.
A great explanation by John Gaffney with the shot clock violation. And so Houston will have possession with an added 0.1 to the clock, so 7.3. What's the best option for Houston to either take the lead or tie this game?
Corey Davis Jr. has shown the ability to get into a gap and make a play or make a 3. Armani Brooks is a guy that can stand, catch, and shoot with a very small window with success. I'd look for penetration either from Galen Robinson or Corey Davis Jr. looking for the tie or for a pitch out 3.
The last time Temple won at home against a ranked opponent, it was February 1st of last year against number 16 Wichita State. Houston hasn't suffered a loss since the NCAA tournament, the second round, losing to Michigan a year ago. One of 3 undefeateds left. Can they keep the streak going?
As the shot goes up, watch number 24, Breon Brady, go to the rim. Oftentimes it's not the first shot, it's the second shot. They also insert Nate Hinton, which gives them some more size to shoot over smaller defenders. Number 11 in red.
Houston's gonna have to go the length of the court. Robinson with 5 to shoot. Davis, a chance to tie it. Gets it at the buzzer. Count it and the foul.
I think he called an offensive foul. Let's wait and see.
Wow, what an ending. Calvin Sampson has to be picked off from the floor.
Foul number 5, Corey Davis. That's his second.
So the call is an offensive foul. Now they'll see if there's any time left. Ernest DeFlackpey definitely established position. He's one of the great charge takers in the country. And both feet are outside the arc.
What a moment for the senior. Again, an offensive foul was called. It appeared that Davis had the bucket and the foul. Instead, Flackby outside of the restricted area. An offensive foul that was called by Anthony Jordan.
And remember the 3 points from the technical fouls. Yeah, Flackby, I mean, he's set. That's a charge. And the fan will say, the average fan will say, well, why make that call? But you know what, we would be critical if they didn't make that call and enforce the rules at that time.
Galen Robinson making his point to Anthony Jordan along with Byron Jarrett, John Gaffney.
And it's going to be Temple ball.
So an offensive foul that goes against Corey Davis that will leave 0.6 on the clock. .6 will remain. Temple will inbound. But what a stunning turn of events, and what a way to end this game as another foul is committed with 0.3 left on the clock. How do you get a foul with 0.6 seconds left on the clock?
Well, now all Houston can do is get a tip to the basket. They can't catch and shoot.
Keep in mind, earlier in the second half, the 2 technical fouls that led to 3 free throws for Temple. The difference maker in this game. Calvin Sampson can all but watch what could have been a perfect season as Pierre-Louis looks to put the final touches on what would be a stunning win for the Temple Owls.
An NCAA tournament resume builder for the Temple Owls. This team's an NCAA tournament team.
Meanwhile, another undefeated team goes down in college basketball. For the first time this season, the Houston Cougars suffer a loss as Temple, with the upset win on their home court, 73-69, a winner over Houston.
Houston came in undefeated. A lot of strange things happened in this game, but Temple prevails, and now their NCAA resume looks quite nice, thank you.
And now only 2 teams left in college basketball remain undefeated, Virginia and Michigan, as Temple comes away with an impressive home victory, now 6-0 at home, and Calvin Sampson and the Houston Cougars have to find a way to rebound after their first loss of the season. Houston falling to 15-1. Temple improves to 12-3. For Mark Adams and our entire hard-working crew here at ESPN, I'm John Brickley. So long from Philadelphia, as the Temple Owls, in the city of brotherly love, the underdogs, come away with the stunner, ending Houston's perfect season.
And if you're just joining us off of the Temple upset of Houston, we welcome you.